Will Giga Berlin production be stopped because of Europe's energy crisis? Let's dive into this video. We have new data and information from Tesla itself. As well, we now have some more data that we can look at in terms of energy prices and gas storage in Europe. When I made the last video about this is the data that we had, and this looked quite scary. However, notice that this is August. Now we are in October. And when we look at electricity prices in Germany, which is all that matters for us Tesla stock investors, we see that literally the last data that I showed you in the previous video was the very peak for electricity prices. And right now it's looking a lot more better. However, this does not mean there are no issues. We're going to dig into those in just a moment. Now, this is of course partially driven by increasing storage capacity, increasing all the storage has been filled up more. Last time I shared this with you, it was a little bit over 80%. Now we are reaching 100%. This is last updated on October 17th. Of course, we do know that there are a lot of issues with the pipelines, and we can't rely on those for Europe anymore, not even a little bit really. So just because electricity prices have come down, this does not mean at all that we are not in danger. However, let's listen to what Elon Musk and CFO of Tesla, Zach, also had to say about this specific issue about energy crisis in Germany and how that would affect Giga Berlin. Would possibly production be stopped? Let's hear their remarks.
2 points on this question. The first is that based upon everything that we know, we don't see this as a large risk to the company. Even if production did go down for a period of time, this is all near term. It doesn't have any impact on the long term of the company.
But we have no indication whatsoever that we will have to cut our production in Germany.
No. And we put in place backup plans, and we're working through the supply chain as well. Nearly all of our suppliers are prepared as well. So we'll see how this plays out, but it's not something that we're terribly worried about.
So the CFO of Tesla, Zach, he says it's not something we are terribly worried about. Now, CFOs will always look at the downside, and they will prioritize the downside. So if you do want to know if there is a potential risk, you will want to listen to the lawyer and accountant type people instead of the CEO, especially if the CEO has a track record of being optimistic. Now, in this case, of course, the CEO is Elon Musk. It's a little bit different. Elon Musk can overcome basically any challenges that he faces, but he reiterated very strongly that he doesn't see any indication that this would affect Giga Berlin production, which is great. However, Zach was more conservative and said that, even if it did affect the factory, it would only be short term. So it's not like the risk is zero, but there's zero indication that it will happen, which is very different from saying there is zero risk. What would worry me a lot more? I think everyone is asking the wrong question here. You see, the issue is not that the German government would cut power to the Tesla factory. I don't see any indication at the moment that the government of Germany would just completely shut off electricity and power supply to Tesla. However, prices might be really high. That's a different question, but because Tesla has such high margins, it won't matter much. But people in Europe are a lot more cost conscious when it comes to spending money on fuel, as an example. And if you have an EV, you have to charge it. So if you are going to pay 5 times more now to charge an EV compared to before, for example, my family lives in Europe, and they literally, now they pay 5 times more for electricity compared to last year. And that 5 times more includes new government subsidies. I would strongly reconsider not buying an EV if I thought that electricity prices would stay that high if I was in Europe. And I think a lot of people have that concern. So the concern here is not, will Giga Berlin be shut down? The real concern here is, how will that affect Tesla's demand in Europe? That's a bigger concern. We do see a weakening demand within China. I don't see any problem over there, however, long term, because Tesla can just cut prices. And in Europe, I think Tesla can do the same thing. Tesla can cut prices and grow its market share as much as possible during this possible recession. Because the main thing that I am looking for from Tesla as an investor of Tesla stock is we want to have a maximum number of vehicles, even if you have to sell them at a lower margin, because eventually those margins are going to increase even for already sold vehicles because of full self-driving. Elon Musk yesterday on Tesla earnings call did say that it's 100% full self-driving will be solved. 100%. What I also really like about Elon is, in one of the interviews years ago now, he said that then you pick what to do if you want to change the world. There are a lot of things you can choose from. There are a lot of things that you can bet on. And there seems to be a lot of crazy things. But the important thing is, if you are trying to accomplish something enormous, is to know the difference then something crazy is actually crazy, and then when something sounds crazy but actually it makes a lot of sense and is perfectly logical to execute. And full self-driving is in this category that sounds crazy to most people but is actually perfectly logical direction for a company to take, and Tesla can definitely get it done. At least according to Elon Musk, it's 100%. Now, a timeline, I'm not going to get into that because I'm a long-term Tesla stock investor. So whatever Tesla stock does in the next few years, I don't really care. I actually hope that the stock keeps going down because I'm accumulating right now, and I'm planning a big, maybe not necessarily that big in relative terms, but I am planning to load up more on Tesla stock shares than perhaps normally before the end of the year. These are 48 reasons why I only own Tesla stock. My name is Matt Poposius. I will see you in the next video later today or tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching.